Good evening and welcome. I am Amarachi Ubani. Tonight, the federal government says rehabilitation of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, is 57% complete. Reaffirms commitment to reopening facility on April 19th. Islamic Military Counter-Terrorism Coalition officials visit Nigeria, seek collaboration with Nigerian Army towards fighting global menace. House of Representatives members query plans by executive to build houses for top public servants despite federal government's monetization policy. And United States senators allege at investigative hearing that Russia attempted to hijack the U.S. democratic process.
On Business News tonight, International Monetary Fund commends Nigeria's economic recovery growth plan and forecasts a 0.8% expansion for 2017.
On Sports News tonight, FIFA unveils proposed allocation plans for the 48-team World Cup in 2026. Africa to get 9 slots.
And from Abuja, Senate concludes its own part of Electoral Act 2010 amendment, approves electronic voting and transmission of results of future elections. We begin tonight with the federal government again reaffirming its commitment to ensuring the reopening of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on April 19th. Speaking to journalists in Abuja, the Minister of State for Aviation, after inspecting the progress of work at the facility, alongside the Minister of Information and Culture, said the rehabilitation is 57% complete. He gave the assurance that the airport will be reopened with a new runway and a new terminal building.
It is a midterm assessment as the Minister of State for Aviation and the Minister of Information and Culture inspect the rehabilitation of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, which was closed on the 8th of March for the rehabilitation of its runway. At intervals and in the course of the inspection, the Minister of State for Aviation explains the level of work done at the airport.
The vision when we were procuring this job is to ensure that all materials are on site so that we can finish on time, so that 6 weeks will be 6 weeks and no more.
After inspecting the entire runway, the Minister of Information and Culture and the Minister of State for Aviation addressed a joint news conference assuring Nigerians and all airport users of the government's commitment to provide improved services.
3 weeks gone from the 6 weeks we promised, for you to come and see the extent of work that has been done, and for you to have a first-hand experience again of what we're doing. And of course, for us is to reiterate that the 6 weeks we promised the world, the 6 weeks is still valid, and we don't intend to give any excuses.
This airport will be open come 19th of April. And it will not only be open, inshallah, at the time, but it will be also open. The terminal building will wear a new look. We are doing complete rehabilitation of the at Wing D or Terminal D, Wing D at the international airport. We would put escalators and lifts for departure at that terminal.
Although it is the halfway mark to the April 19, 2017 completion date of the rehabilitation of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, when it eventually reopens, it will have a new lounge for physically challenged persons and the elderly, as well as a new terminal building.
The officials of the Islamic Military Counter-Terrorism Coalition are in the country, collaborating with the Nigerian Army. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai, has received the IMCTC led by its Acting Secretary General, Lieutenant General Abdullah bin Othman Al-Saleh in Maiduguri, Borno State. The IMCTC also had a coastal meeting with the Chief of Army Staff, Theatre Commander Lafia Dole, and key officers of the Nigerian Army, where issues of terrorism in the northeast and various counter approaches were discussed.
Our mission in the Islamic Military Coalition of Fighting Terrorism is to study and see what support we can give to our colleagues on the Federal Republic of Nigeria in fighting terrorism on all domains, the ideology, the communication, and fighting the counter-financing of terrorism, and also on the military side. We are here to study all possibilities and see what we can do and the lessons we can learn from the experiences that the Nigerians have gone through.
4 years after it was blown up by the Boko Haram sect, the Katako Bridge, a major infrastructure in Gujba local government area which connects Yobe State to the northeast neighbors, has been reopened. The bridge, which lies 22 kilometers from Damaturu, the state capital, was used as a link to the strongholds of the insurgents. The Yobe State Governor Ibrahim Gaidam reopened the bridge, emphasizing its economic importance to the region.
With the return of peace in the northeast, most locals have returned home and are already settling down. But they're faced with several challenges, such as good access roads, shelter, among others. This is because during the surge of the dreaded Boko Haram insurgents, several infrastructure were destroyed. For instance, the Katako Bridge in Yobe State was blown off as a strategy to consolidate on their captured territories. Today, Governor Gaidam has come to open the reconstructed bridge and inspect other projects.
Okay, so this is what we are doing now.
First, the Commissioner for Works and Transport gives a breakdown of the level of work at the Damaturu-Magza Road, which he says is 50% completed.
This bridge was completed long ago, Your Excellency, but it was not open to the public for usage because we are anticipating that one day you will come and inspect it first before we allow the motorists to start enjoying it. So, Your Excellency, as you have personally come today, we hope that the bridge will be put to use.
Governor Gaidam is impressed and promises to construct more roads, schools and other infrastructure that will bring these communities back to life.
It was in our plan to beautify Damaturu Metropolis. It has to look like at least a state capital. We are going to make it a mini city before our term ends in 2019. That was why we started. And this does not mean that we would overlook some other urban cities of Potiskum, Nguru, Gaidam and Geshwa.
The governor also inspects the urban road renewal project.
He has started very well and doing very well. The only thing is he has to increase the speed because based on the agreement you signed, he has 6 months to complete. 3 months is now over. If he speeds up, I think in the next 3 months he will complete the structures.
The Gaidam administration insists it will not only develop the state capital, but will extend the gesture to other major towns across the state.
Some members of the House of Representatives have queried the plans by the executive to build houses for some public servants despite the monetization policy of the federal government. The members of the House Committee on Federal Capital Territory raised this point during the 2017 budget defense session of the FCT administration. For the lawmakers, if the monetization policy is to be put aside, the nation must be notified. Our correspondent Larry Lassisi has more.
Secondly,
the House of Representatives Committee on the Federal Capital Territory meeting with officials of the Federal Capital Territory Administration. The officials are here to defend their 2017 budget estimates.
These two roads are...
The lawmakers raised some observations.
What we're using as our airport today is actually a temporary arrangement from the onset. That's not where the original airport is meant to be. There's meant to be another airport. Is there any consideration for another airport in the FCT?
London, it does not have one airport, so definitely Abuja will not have one airport. But at the right time, we are planning gradually. As you give us fund, definitely the second airport that is supposed to be in Kwali, yeah, we'll start to plan for it gradually. It may be maybe our children will use it, we don't know.
The lawmakers were more concerned with an item for the construction of 40 buildings for top government officials at 3 billion naira.
I'm shocked and surprised that We are talking about monetization. Some of us are living on rent. You said top federal government functionaries. I don't know whether we are lower government functionaries.
I don't know why they sold the minister's quarters. So it was a big mistake. They even wanted to sell the vice president's residence. These things were wrong. And if you want to reverse it, which it should be wholesome.
There has always been that feeling that this policy should be reviewed. And if this policy is found to be inadequate in certain ways, there will be a process, a gradual process, because you see, it is always easy to bring down things. It is not easy to build up things. If, let's say, government decides that monetization is cancelled totally, can we provide 1,000 houses now?
The lawmakers say they will like to see an official document backing the new plan. They've also directed the officials to provide more details on their budget. Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
To legal matters now, the absence of the EFCC prosecutor, Mr. Rotimi Oyedepo, today stalled the trial of a suspended Federal High Court judge, Justice Rita Ofili Ajimogobia, and a senior advocate of Nigeria, Godwin Obla. Justice Hakeem Oshodi of the Lagos State High Court sitting in Ikeja had to adjourn to April 10th for hearing of the pending applications. The EFCC had arraigned Justice Ofili Ajimogobia and Obla on a 30-count charge of conspiracy to pervert justice by allegedly giving and receiving a bribe of 5 million naira. The anti-graft agency had also alleged that about $793,800 passed through Justice Ofili Ajimogobia's domiciliary accounts between 2012 and 2015, and that she allegedly used the money to buy a house in London. Both have pleaded not guilty to the charge. The National Coordinator of the Center for Disease Control, Dr. Chikwe Ihekweazu, has been speaking on efforts to contain the spread of meningitis, which has killed a total of 269 persons in some parts of the country. Dr. Ihekweazu, who was speaking with Channels Television in Abuja, says the center is working with donor agencies and state governments to address the situation.
3-4 years ago, there was a big vaccination campaign. The predominant serotype at the time was meningitis A. Now, that serotype has more or less been eliminated. Unfortunately, what we are seeing is a resurgence of a different serotype, serotype C, which hasn't previously been common in the environment. And, this is the second year we're having large outbreaks of meningitis C. So it now means we really need to rethink our strategy. Unfortunately, the vaccines available for meningitis C are not commonly available, not commercially available for procurement. They're very limited global stock and are managed by WHO. So in this case, we've now made an application to WHO to enable us have vaccines to respond to this specific outbreak, while we look towards advocating for more supplies in subsequent years. We have taken delivery of 500,000 doses. This is being managed primarily by our sister agency, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, and we're starting a big campaign to vaccinate in Zamfara State from the 11th of April, while working together with Sokoto and Katsina states to start campaigns in their states.